Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Passport to Crime podcast, where we cross borders to uncover the world's most unsettling mysteries. I'm your host, Oakley, and today we're stepping into the unknown, a case that has gripped headlines, baffled investigators, and left an entire community searching for answers. So what really happened to Jay Slater? And why does his disappearance leave more questions than answers? Before we delve into today's episode, I just want to remind our viewers and listeners that the Passport to Crime podcast aims to present cases based on publicly available information. Any theories discussed are speculative and should not be taken as definitive conclusions. Our goal is to explore the unknown responsibly, while respecting those involved. Listener discretion is advised. So who was Jay Slater? And why was he in Tenerife to begin with? Jay Slater was a 19-year-old apprentice bricklayer from Oswald Twistle, Lancashire, UK. He was known for his outgoing, charismatic personality, and those close to him described him as someone who loved socialising, music and travel. The trip to Tenerife was more than just a holiday for Jay. Jay wasn't in Tenerife on a spontaneous trip. He travelled there with friends for a specific reason, to attend a new rave generation festival called NRG, a 3-day electronic music event held in Playa de las Americas. NRG festival is well known in the European rave community, attracting partygoers from across the UK and beyond. Jay had excitedly shared his plans for Tenerife in messages to friends before leaving, saying he was looking forward to the music and the mad vibes of this festival. However, Tenerife itself posed unique risks. The festival scene was notorious for heavy partying and drug use. Many tourists travel abroad for festivals without fully understanding local laws and dangers, and the island's contrasting landscapes, from bustling nightlife districts to remote mountainous terrain, can be deceiving for visitors unfamiliar with the geography. So now, as we move to the case in hand, we look at the Snapchat messages, a crucial piece of the puzzle. Jay's Snapchat messages provide vital insight into his movements, state of mind, and possible warnings before he vanished. The night of June 16th to the morning of the 17th, 2024. Jay attended the final night of the NRG festival. Shortly after leaving, he messaged friends on Snapchat saying he had met two men and was heading back to their Airbnb rental in rural Di Tenno. The exact content of those messages still remains unclear to this day, but one key detail emerged. Jay indicated that he wasn't familiar with the area, but was still going back with them anyway. So then we move on to the morning of June the 17th, 2024. His last messages. The last known Snapchat messages Jay sent were increasingly desperate. At 8 AM, Jay sent photos to friends showing the remote countryside, a stark contrast from the busy festival district. At 8:15 AM, he called his friend Lucy saying he was lost, hungry and without water. And at 8:30 AM, his Snapchat activity ceased, and shortly afterward, his phone died. At this point, Jay's digital footprints stopped, leaving only physical search efforts to try and trace his next movements. Search efforts and key anomalies. The search for Jay Slater was one of the largest missing person operations in Tenerife in recent history. Authorities mobilise. Helicopters, drones and dogs were deployed across the mountainous range and region. Rescue teams focused heavily on the terrain surrounding the Airbnb. However, despite the resources, no concrete evidence of Jay's whereabouts was discovered. So let's move on to the Airbnb. Why was he there? Jay's choice to go to a stranger's Airbnb remains one of the biggest unanswered questions throughout this whole case. Was he simply looking for a place to sleep? Or was there something deeper, something unexpected that happened at the Airbnb before he disappeared? The two men he stayed with cooperated with police but were never treated as suspects. Then we move on to the terrain problem. Rural di Tenno is nothing like beaches of Tenerife. It's rugged and desolate and dangerous. The landscape is known for cliffs and unpredictable paths. Heat and dehydration could become fatal within hours if someone was stranded. Jay had no water, food, or survival gear, making his chances of surviving alone extremely slim. So why did Jay venture out on foot rather than waiting for help? This question remains one of the most baffling aspects of this whole case. Theories: what could have happened to Jay? Investigators and amateur crime sleuths alike have debated several potential scenarios. So let's dive into those. Theory 1. An accidental misadventure. Jay became lost in the treacherous landscape and succumbed to dehydration or injury. His last phone call and Snapchat messages support this theory, showing his panic and urgency. Then there's Theory 2. Foul play. Some suspect Jay was lured to an Airbnb under false pretenses, where there was a violent altercation before he tried to escape. Did he witness something he shouldn't have, prompting someone to chase him down? Then we move on to Theory 3, a voluntary disappearance. Could Jay have decided to disappear for personal reasons? This theory holds little weight as there were no signs he wanted to vanish. And then there's Theory 4, human trafficking or abduction. Given Tenerife's record of missing tourists, some believe Jay was taken against his will. However, there is no confirmed evidence of this. Where does the case stand today? Despite intensive investigations, Jay Slater remains missing. Ongoing searches. Police scaled back rescue efforts due to a lack of evidence. Jay's family continued to push for answers. Online sleuths and independent investigations keep the case alive, though police warn against misinformation. The public reaction this caused sparked international attention, with many questioning, did authorities miss something? Were all potential leads exhausted? And could Jay still be alive somewhere? For now, there are more questions than answers. Jay Slater's disappearance still remains one of the most unsettling mysteries in modern history. How does someone vanish without a trace? When does speculation become distraction? And will we ever uncover the full truth of what really happened to Jay Slater? Then the body was found, and these were confirmed to be Jay Slater. As we close this episode, I want to take a moment to honour Jay Slater, not just as a missing person, but as a son, a friend, and a young man who had his whole life ahead of him. Behind every headline and theory lies a family enduring unimaginable pain, searching for answers, and holding on to hope. Jay's mother, loved ones, and community continue their efforts, refusing to let his story fade into the unknown. To Jay, wherever you are missed, loved, and remembered. And to his family, we stand with you in your pursuit for truth, justice, and closure. If anyone listening has any information that could bring Jay home, I urge you to come forward. His history deserves resolution. His family deserves peace. And his name deserves to be more than just another mystery. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Passport to Crime podcast. Stay safe, stay aware, and always remember, the stories we tell aren't just tales of mystery. They are real lives, real people, and real families longing for answers. Thank you for joining me. If you liked today's episode, please like and subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when there's a new story available. Until then, keep your passport ready for the unknown.